What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about Faraday Future. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what's really moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. Starting off, it is up 4.39%, so doing relatively well. It is piggybacking off of the broader market because there has been no specific news, no SEC filings, not on any of the platforms, no updates. So I think investors are just kind of stuck in limbo. As I've said over, I think, my last video, I do anticipate news to come out, but probably 1 week prior to the shareholder meeting, which is coming up on July the 31st. Normally companies go radio silent up until that point, but then again, what do I know, right? So like I said, CPI did come in better than anticipated, so that is really pushing the market higher. And so the fear and greed index right now is at 53, so it's recovered fairly well. So it did have a low of roughly 1 week ago around 44. So that means people's appetite for risk is increasing, thus willing to buy stocks such as Faraday, despite no news and stuff like that. So I want to go over some of the current data points and things that you need to know. This was very abnormal so far in the trading day. The market's been open around an hour and a half, and there was this random spike. This was attributed to shorts, so I'm going to talk about that in a second, but 24.4 million shares being traded, 167.4 is the average. A lot of the volume being done today so far is linked to shorting as well as algorithmic trading because you aren't seeing all that much buying happening. So you randomly did see two good transactions, two buy transactions on the 8th. Aside from that, it's been relatively quiet. But on a daily basis, though, you do have shorts making up for around, I don't know, anywhere from 55 to 60% of the daily volume. And even based on this, about 50%, if not more, of the daily volume is redirected off of the exchange. I've brought this up in the past, how this is a very clear indication of manipulation. But obviously the SEC isn't willing to interject because a lot of this and kind of synthetics, naked shorting is very, very difficult to prove. So they'd probably rather just turn a blind eye. But as of right now, though, shorts are returning 81,000 shares. 9.54% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 41.73 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost to borrow average is a little bit higher than yesterday, so 11.78. And I'm sure some of you might be wondering, when did it jump up to 9.54? Well, there is 2 times per month when the NASDAQ does disclose the true amount of shares being shorted, and that report did come out yesterday. So it's always delayed, so it sucks a little bit, but as of June the 28th, there was 40.63 million shares overall being shorted, and that works out to be 9.29% of the free float. So then what Ortex does is they take this information and calculate it up to today's date, because like I said, this is as of June the 28th, so it's kind of always 2 weeks delayed for the most part. But when it comes down to it, like I said, that spike was attributed to shorts. You can kind of see that teal line right there, how they just randomly returned. So in case you guys don't know, returning does add buying pressure, so they were the cause of this. Why they might be returning? The only reason why I can think of they would be returning this random spike is to mitigate risk, because shorts are all over the place, right? They're not necessarily just in Faraday, they're in many of the stocks that I have in my watch list, such as 𝗖𝗎, Lucid, many others. So when it comes to the market right now, it is booming, with the exception of Palantir. Like, everything is green. So shorts are losing quite a lot across the board. So what they do is they try to mitigate risk, close some of their positions in some scenarios, and this is how you do get this. Even if we look at, for instance, Fintel, I've brought this up in the past, Citadel, and many others that are kind of known for shorting are ingrained, or not ingrained, but they're involved in Faraday. So that's always a very big red flag if you ask me, especially Citadel right now owning only 148 shares. That's what was disclosed as of May the 15th. And same goes for this Mather group, only 1 share. So I'll just give you guys a little bit of knowledge because I like to always educate. When it comes down to 13Fs, they only do show longs, right? If someone is short, they don't actually have to disclose that on 13Fs. Coming at the later part of the year, they will with that new SEC transparency rule. So that means shorts, whoever is shorting across the board is going to be very well known. And that's even aside from 13Fs. If a company is on the threshold list, immediately reports on who is shorting is going to be made public. So that's going to really help for transparency. Like I said, it's even in the name, the SEC transparency rule. So it was kind of adopted and passed the tail end of last year. Just it takes a goddamn long time. I think it's like an 8-month turnaround or 9-month turnaround for it to be adopted. So that's really going to help a lot of heavily shorted stocks such as Faraday. But whenever you see these low amounts, it is fair to assume that those entities are shorting. So Citadel, 𝗪𝗧𝗪 Group, haven't really heard of 𝗪𝗧𝗪 Group before, but definitely something to kind of consider. So all in all, it's a fun time with Faraday. Even looking at the shares on loan, it's always an indication of if it does spike up. So it's been in excess of 10 million for a while, but you do see it went down to like 7.2. So that means a entity did sell and then buy back the following day. But yeah, usually that's an indication of larger entities buying or selling the underlying stock just for lending purposes. And I'll give you guys a quick overview. So what I'll do is I'll pop over to IBKR, and I just wanted to share this with you. So the average duration of a short is roughly 12.77 days. That's how long they typically do hold it for. And just to give you an overview of the current ownership, you do have Vanguard. So Vanguard and BlackRock are very known, well known in fact, for lending out shares. So again, having those entities involved, it's sometimes good. It adds a lot of liquidity, but at the same time, if your stock isn't performing well, then their shares will be kind of more damaging than good. That's just my own opinion. You guys do whatever floats your boat out there. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Aside from all of that fun stuff, just moving on to some additional data points. So looking at options, so the market's only been open, like I said, hour and a half, so take this with a grain of salt, but 21,000 calls, 17,000 puts. So dollar value, very low. 65% of all the options being done so far are optimistic and bullish, and that is because based on the technicals, it's showing signs of wanting to break out. And I've said that over the last couple of videos that for whatever reason, it seems as though that Faraday has bottomed. So that's kind of the good thing. Once again, we'll just need a catalyst to really be that deciding point to push us higher. But looking at the open interest for the calls right now, you do see a hell of a lot of optimism for the July 19th chain. So that is a monthly chain, currently 18,000 at that 50-cent strike price, and then 28,000 at that one. Nowhere near as good as the June monthly chain, but still a lot of options activity is associated to a gamma squeeze, and gamma squeeze is just a fine line from that to a short squeeze. So definitely not saying that Faraday is going to squeeze out of nowhere. It still does need a catalyst, in my opinion. Very rarely does the stock ever just go up based on nothing, because like I've said in the past, speculation only takes it so far. You eventually do need a catalyst to really drive it home. So again, that's something to kind of keep in mind. And plus, I have been popping over to Reddit quite a lot, and you see a lot of people just speculating about the upcoming reverse stock split or potential reverse stock split that is being voted on, and how that may or may not result in a squeeze. So for those of you that do tune into my pre-market video where I go over where kind of abnormal activity is happening, it does happen. Maybe once every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, there's randomly a stock that just goes up that's heavily shorted, and it does a reverse stock split. And yeah, so I think post reverse stock split is more likely for a squeeze. But again, in my opinion at least, I feel like a catalyst is very much needed in order for that to happen. So all in all, let me know your thoughts on Faraday. I just wanted to give you guys a quick overview of the current short interest percentage and just a lot of the data points. So let me know your thoughts. Give yourself a shout out. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? What have you been doing with Faraday? And actually, just to go over this, some points to watch for on the technicals. I know looking at momentum plays, it's not really advantageous to look at these, because obviously with a momentum like an increase in capital, it just blows past all of this. So kind of be wary of technical analysis, but 50 cents is going to be the next strong resistance point that you'll want to watch for. So shorts are going to be very active around there. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And one final thing, take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for a new account, throw $100 at it, and they give you 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. Kick-ass deal. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.